Last year I addressed the Minister in this House on the matter of apprenticeship schemes. In particular, I proposed he provide funding to revive and revigorate local authority apprenticeship schemes. I'm very much encouraged at the time by the Minister's favourable response to this proposal. I am now asking the Minister what progress has been made in implementing this policy. With unemployment soaring again on account of the economic impact of lockdown, I believe that measures to breathe life back into the ailing economy are needed now more than ever. People need more than just politicians giving trite pep talks on social media. People need learning and employment opportunities. People need supports. People need purpose in the present moment, and they need real cause for hope for their future. Investing in real people by offering funded apprenticeship schemes is a tangible means of achieving these objectives. Lest it has escaped anyone's attention, the latest CEO data demonstrates the gravity of the economic decline. I quote the CSO website as follows: "The COVID-19 crisis has continued to have a significant impact on the labour market in Ireland in January 2021. While the standard measure of monthly unemployment was 5.8% in January 2021, the COVID-19 adjusted measure of unemployment could indicate a rate as high as 25% if all claimants of the pandemic PUP payment were classified as unemployed. Breaking the results down to broad age groups, the traditional monthly unemployment rate for those aged 15 to 24 was 15.7% in January 2021, while it was 4.6% for those aged 25 to 74 years. If all claimants of the PUP were classified as unemployed, the upper bound, or COVID-19 adjusted measure of unemployment, indicates a rate of 25.9 for males and 24.1 for females in January 2021. Breaking the results down by broad age group, the new COVID-19 adjusted measures of unemployment is 56.4% for those aged 15 to 24 years and 21.4 for those aged 25 to 74 years. These are truly sobering statistics for every age group, but most notably and worrying for the young people. Youth unemployment can have a dreadful long-term effect on lives of young people and indeed on society. As this economic morass has been caused by a government policy, governments should introduce urgent policy measures to reverse this. Quoting from a local government management agency paper from 2013, the need for funding support for local governments to provide apprenticeships is highlighted. The current economic constraints being experienced by local authorities means that the requirement that apprenticeships are paid by local authorities employing the individual is a barrier to many local authorities providing standard apprenticeship placements. Local authorities, as evidenced by their support of the redundant apprenticeship replacement scheme, are supportive in principle of providing work training placements, but at present the majority of local authorities would not be able to pay apprenticeships whilst they complete their workplace training. This report also advocated a broader range of occupations should be catered. Consideration should be given to expanding the range of occupations to cover such areas as laboratory and science technicians, inspection services, water services and wastewater service operations, information, communications and technology. Broadening the range of skills can be of real benefit to modernise and add expertise to local government and also to fill the gaps within the private sector labour market. One thing that stands out for me is the list of water services. With the need to build 33,000 houses annually to cater for demand, we will surely need more skilled plumbers to expand and maintain our already inadequate water services and wastewater services infrastructure. So I suggest working in association with Irish Water to deliver much needed services. Can I ask the Minister to provide the House with a comprehensive update on the status of all apprenticeship schemes? How have they been effective over the course of the past year? What progress has been made in broadening the range of skills covered? What action has the Minister taken to revive the local authority delivered apprenticeship schemes, and has funding been allocated to the budget to this end? Thank you, Minister. Sorry, I did go over a little bit of time.
Thanks very much, Liz Keogan, and I really want to thank Senator Keogan for giving me the opportunity to address the Seanad today, but also for her comments to me on this matter a number of months ago, because it did have an impact. And I want to acknowledge your leadership in this regard in recognising The untapped potential. I think there's been too much of the public sector talking the talk and expecting the private sector to walk the walk. We need to step up here. Apprenticeships are a hugely valuable route to both skills development and supporting economic recovery. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit in our own country in this regard. There's perhaps been an elitist view in relation to higher education in Ireland for far too long, and I think there's an awful lot more we can do in relation to apprenticeships. We have committed in the programme for government to reaching 10,000 newly registered apprentices each year by 2025. Now that's a massive increase. It's up from about 6,000 apprentices a year at the moment, and this will only happen. It will only happen if the private sector and the public sector step up. So as of December 2020, Senator, there were 313 apprentices employed across 48 departments, agencies and state bodies, and 55 of these apprentices were employed by local authorities in areas such as accounting technicians, plumbing, carpentry, cybersecurity and software development. Now, whilst I thank each of those local authorities and government departments, the scale of that ambition is nowhere near adequate. It's absolutely nowhere near adequate. Apprenticeships, we need their employer-led offerings. They're based on a contract of employment between the apprentice and the respective employer. Each local authority has its own human resources department which looks after local recruitment, supported by the local government management agency. Now, as part of our consultation in developing our new action plan on apprentices, which I'm due to bring to Cabinet next month, we've received a lot of feedback from public sector organisations on what they believe would be required in order to be able to take on more apprentices. They've outlined things like relevant supports and procedures that would need to be in place. The availability of mentor staff is seen as critical, particularly in the challenging COVID-19 environment as well. So I really want to say this to you. When we publish our action plan on apprentices, and it's due to go to Cabinet, as I've said, next month, you can take it from me, there is going to be very, very clear commitments in relation to what every government department and every state agency and every local authority is required to do. What is the baseline number of apprentices that each local authority could take on? What is the baseline number that every government department could take on? And what extra package of support we need to put in place to make that happen? So without getting ahead of myself, I can give you an insight that that will be a core component. That, along with some of the gender equality issues in relation to apprentices as well. You asked more broadly about apprenticeships. There are now 59 existing apprenticeship programmes ranging in duration from 2 years to 4 years. They also range in terms of the qualifications from level 5 to level 10, and there's a further 19 programmes being developed at the moment as well. Where there's an identified need for a new apprenticeship programme, the programme is developed by an employer-led consortium of employers and education and training providers under a structured framework. As I've said, the action plan for apprenticeships for the coming 5-year period is under development. I think we've already seen some considerable success with the financial incentive now being offered to employers for the first time ever to take on an apprentice. In addition to the programme for government commitment, the role of the public sector in apprenticeship recruitment was raised by a number of stakeholders during our consultation process. So you can expect to see formal commitments in this area in the government's new action plan as well. I should just mention, because it actually ties together the gender equality issue, which I believe is a big issue in apprentices, and also the public sector issue. I met Zoe Fitzgerald recently on Zoom. She's the 1,000th female apprentice registered in Ireland. We had 26 female apprentices in 2015. Shocking. We have 1,000 now. Still very low, but 1,000 up from 26 in 2015. The reason I mentioned that is Zoe has actually taken up an apprenticeship in one of the local authorities in Cork. So this is an example of how this state can do some real good here in terms of policy development, in terms of giving young people a chance. So we're very ambitious in this area. I'm very eager to work with and benefit from Senator Keogan's insight and to keep in touch with on this matter.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Keogan, you have 1 minute.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Minister. And I absolutely welcome the work that you've done to date in relation to making my suggestion a real live project throughout this country within local authorities. I do believe it is an untapped source. We have 31 local authorities there in the country. Even if each of them was to create 100 over the next 5 years, there will be 3,100 apprenticeships created by your department alone. So most people say that governments don't create jobs. It is we create the environment. We can create the environment, but this is something that you can actually do. Also, I want to bring it to your attention, which you may not know about, is apprenticeships for people under the age of 18. They could not access any payment whatsoever when it came to their industry closing down last March. They couldn't get a PUP payment because they were under 18. If you are in Youth Reach, you get a payment of €40 a week. Now, it's not something that they want to get the same as the PUP payment, but something to acknowledge their value and worth to society, because they're out there working, they're doing a full day's work, doing an apprenticeship, so they do not get any money. So if you can, maybe, I don't know how long it's going to go on for, but some money for those people that are unemployed as a result of COVID. The gender issue is the gender issue is a huge issue, because I would, over the summertime, I would do an apprenticeship programme in my own town, and this year I found it extremely hard to get employers to take on. The first year ever, I got it very hard, electricians, plumbers, carpenters, to take on people because they didn't feel confidence in the market. So having somebody like you coming out and saying, look, things are going to get better, but you lead the way on this, I think it would help. But I found it very difficult to actually get girls to come in. So look, thank you very much. I will keep an eye on what you're doing, Minister, and hopefully I won't see you back in here again during my time in here. Thank you.
Well, I certainly hope we have many chances to engage Senator Keogan. Just on the point you make about how we attract, be they male or be they female, young people into apprentices, or indeed not so young people. I mean, one of the projects I am working on is the whole CAO reform. I think in this country we shut down the discussion about the full range of options far too early. So in my hometown, the conversations often are, you going to UCD or Trinity, rather than the conversation being about, well, what do you actually want to do? And how are we going to help you get there? And actually an apprenticeship being seen as a viable route to get there. In the craft space, and we need a lot more people in the craft space, but not just in that space as well. When I was a junior minister, we worked on bringing in an apprenticeship for financial services, and it's going really, really well now. So I think there's huge, huge untapped potential. I think there was always that, but I think it's even more important now in the context of COVID. My sense is that the financial incentive we brought in for employers has helped stabilise the situation during COVID. So that's the first thing I'd say. And then also I'd make the point about, I'll follow up on those apprentices under the age of 18 with solace, but I would hope, without getting ahead of ourselves again, that education has always been a priority area under the Living with COVID plan, and I would hope that as the community transmission goes down, we can see those apprenticeships resume quickly.